No, because you're going to need the hardware. Yeah. I mean, I just priced out a rig because there's some jobs that I need to run for Kabu that I'm not sure my go to market is ready in the next 6 months because of data processing. And I'm like, okay, well, how much do I need horsepower wise to do this locally so that I can just run it 24/7 and get it done? But the answer was somewhere north of $225,000 in hardware.
This isn't dead air. I'm just speechless.
Yeah. It would be a really hard choice between a server rack and a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. John, happy 4th, happy 50th. How are you today?
I am doing great. Enjoying the July holiday. I'm sporting my USA jersey.
Nice. There we go. We play what, Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, we played Monday the 6th. We are playing Belgium. Kind of got a 50-50 chance to win according to the current odds lines. So whatever faith you put in that.
Well, it seems like you've been paying attention to the odds lines, haven't you?
I have been.
Do you have money on the line? Is that something that we can publish?
Sure, I'll mention this. I was after I got to attend a World Cup game on Saturday.
Well done.
Yes, so I got to see Egypt and Australia play their match. Egypt coming away with the win in PKs actually. So I got the full value for the ticket. We got the full extra time and the penalty kicks.
That's very cool.
It was exciting. I actually out of all the thousands of seats in the stadium, there were 71,000 people roughly in attendance.
That's big.
Happened to be, there was a guy that I worked with about 10-15 rows in front of me. So I went down and sat with him for the PKs because he was actually an Egypt fan, and the people I was with, they didn't have a rooting interest. So I wanted to be with somebody who
well, he's not only rooting for Egypt, he's Egyptian.
He's Egyptian.
Yeah,
yes, he's Egyptian. He's straight up Egyptian. So
we could all claim to root for whoever we want. This is a free country, free world. But yeah, he's from
So I got to go to the PKs with the true. I enjoyed the penalty kicks with the true Egyptian and had a blast. It was a lot of fun. But then afterwards we went back and we're hanging out at my friend's parents' house in Dallas. Thanks to Hotel Mary. If you're ever in the region, I gotta give a shout out to Hotel Mary.
That's good.
Wonderful hospitality. But yeah, we sat there, we're watching the rest of the games, and I pulled up Kalshi, and I decided to go ahead and plop down 250 on the US to win the whole thing. I think the $250 US dollars, just in honor of our 250th birthday. It was the 4th
there you
July.
go. I like it. Good choice.
And so if I hold that and it pays out, it goes something like 6,500 because the odds are only 4%, which
wow,
they're
so
in the
people
round
are really
of
betting against us.
Yeah, well, they're in the round of 16. So if you just straight math, 6.25%. Now, of course, not every team's going to have the exact same odds. So 4% is probably about right. But my thinking is, I think they have a 50-50 chance at Belgium, and if they do that, then I think those odds go way up, and it ends up. I'm not necessarily planning on, like I said, holding for the end. If they win a game and sentiment goes strongly one way, I might say I've made enough of that and be happy with it. That's that was my thought.
What would that be in like options parlance? The IV with the IV spike on that, and you could sell into the IV spike.
I think that I'm not an absolute expert in that at all, but I believe
me neither.
That's the correct
but let's go with it.
I believe that's the correct terminology. Yes. So yeah, basically, I'm taking an options play on it, right?
Yeah. All right.
But no, it's fun. It was my first experience. I wouldn't say fun. It was interesting. It was my first experience using the platform, and it's disturbing how freaking easy it is. I was a little little unsettling how just simple and quick it was.
Like quick and like you've never placed a bet before, so like you opened this up and was like, oh, maybe I'll do it, and you had to set up your money and all that.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow.
5 minutes.
I mean, here's my admission. I don't have access to any of the viewing options for World Cup because I don't pay for TV. And I sat on the couch.
Antenna?
No. And once I kind of like I had to Google like who is streaming it, who has the rights, like who do I have to sign up with. And anyway, I got to Fox, and then there's like 3 different Fox apps on Apple TV. And I was just like, I'm done. That's how hard it was. I can't pay for the World Cup, but you can bet on Kalshi more easily.
Yeah, absolutely. No, actually, frankly, you're not wrong. It is simpler. We have the good fortune of we have an antenna here, so we get both Fox and Telemundo that have been giving us the
Do
games.
you have to get that antenna
over
outside?
air.
Like I got the same suggestion yesterday, and I was thinking about buying an antenna just to watch the game tomorrow.
It's literally sitting behind my television, like on the same mount as the TV. It just screws in through a coax and sits on the same like little arms that my TV adjusts by. So you kind of
Nice.
Yeah, I could mount it more permanently, but it just so happened that the way my TV was angled was the right way the antenna needed to be angled, and that was just so convenient. I couldn't resist it.
I hear you. Mine's going to be an extremely temporary installation just to watch the game, and then I'll worry about.
You might be able to get one that's just
permanent
a
or
little
not.
like a table mount thing that you could just set out and like position, and then put it away when you don't want it, and put it back out when you do.
That's what I'm wondering. I watch so little TV that it might
I bet
just
you
work.
could.
Yeah.
I honestly, we don't. Yeah, we use over the air TV for news, and then
Stuff like this. Exactly.
Yeah,
stuff like
this.
this, right? A sporting
Exactly,
event.
stuff like
A
this.
sporting event
Yeah.
where, like, even if you had a ESPN sub, you're like, well, it's not on ESPN, so which basically means it's going to be on a major network, right?
Yep.
But which you might get over the air in HD,
Yeah.
no less. Well, that's fun. That sounds like an awesome
Yeah.
weekend and the right way to do, Independence Day weekend and all that kind of stuff.
And as a Houstonian, I have to say props to Dallas. They did a good job of hosting everything that we saw. City was great, and it's a dry heat there compared to here. Same temperature, but yeah, it was a slight bit more pleasant, just ever so slightly more pleasant outside.
Meanwhile, half of Dallas spends their summers in Colorado. I swear.
Yeah. I believe it. Overall, great. Yeah. Anyway, so how are you, Dan? What's new on your end?
I don't know what's new. We are back from for me, it was like 10 days or something like that. We went out to South Carolina for a family thing. My uncle is kind enough to host a large amount of people on my mom's side. So we all get together, and he's got a great place on a lake, and there are jet skis, and it makes me very happy, and we have a good time. Both kids had a great time. And then we all caravanned with my more immediate family up to Indiana and hung out there. We got to stay with some dear friends of ours with similarly aged kids in southern Indiana. So all of that was great. It was just like, good old wholesome stuff, pools, summer heat, all that good stuff. Driving from Lafayette down to Bloomington, you could, because we went up and then back down and back up, on I think it's I-69, there had been a pretty recent tornado. And being in the West for as long as I have, I've gotten used to just driving and all of a sudden an entire forest be decimated. And it's always the same. It's charred. This forest was very precisely decimated. Everything was ripped to shreds. A tornado had been through very recently. And so as you come down, the tornado had gone perpendicular to the highway, and Indiana, southern Indiana is like more topographically interesting and has deep, thick forest. And all of a sudden, it's just a bunch of shredded toothpicks on either side of the highway. And then it's back to forest.
Those things are not wild. To be, lots of force in those winds.
So I don't know. That was a very striking visual that, it's just like boring highway. And then I was like, wait, what is this? Oh, this is the tornado everyone talked about a week ago.
Yeah. Just seeing it on the news, right? I mean, you see just homes on either side of the path just fine, and then right through where it is no homes without roofs. Those are powerful events. Well, but it's fun that you got to drive all around the Midwest. It sounds like, so at least you got a lot of time in a car with kids. That's always a good experience, and from what I recall.
Ours worked out pretty well. We broke the drive up into 2 days. We stopped in Lexington, Kentucky, and so you start in the mountains, and then you get flatter and flatter as you go.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was a good trip. One little quibble, sir. Quibble with your absolutely fantastic show notes. On our most recent episode, I got a yellow flag for one of my things, and I would like to bring it to the president of the organization.
I don't have an appeals process, but we can. I'm open to hearing your case and seeing if we can't correct our fact checks, because I do try to make sure those things are accurate. But once in a while,
I think you're doing really great.
Slips by me.
I don't even know if it would have been. I don't know if I can call this a slip up, because it does have its own site, like CITE. It's just that my site was different, and I don't know that it would have been able to find it. So it dinged me on the 54 cents of every dollar you spend on Amazon goes to Amazon. It dinged me on that because what it was able to confer was a slightly lower number. And, so I'm just here to say, like, I didn't get that wrong. There's a very specific data set that I have access to but the reason it's worth bringing up is maybe highlighting, like, if you were to just survey all Amazon sellers, the number would be lower, right? There's a lot of high turnover within the, I don't know, last 1-2 deciles of Amazon sellers. People try and fail. And then this survey that I was citing was exclusively US sellers, which I think they just tend to have higher costs structurally.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to say, hey, Claude, take a note on that we beefed up on the fact check, and that we need to maybe understand sources sometimes. No, but honestly, that's, again, like you mentioned, I'm having pulling from one set of data and looking at one set of sources with certain things. And you have
totally
your real life data. So always your real lived experience is it has validity and truth. Sorry for the yellow card.
Oh, don't. yeah. No, I mean, I texted Sean, it was a couple weeks back or whatever. I was like, best in class show notes, seriously. But as I was going through them, I was like, I just was getting more and more interested. I like the fact check. It's really fun. And also it's a place for me to learn, right? Like to see where I drift, or I don't know, all those things. And I was like, yeah, but that yellow card, I think that should be green.
Well, I need to also direct everybody's attention then to our new website, unqualifiedadvicepodcast.com, where everybody can go and see our past catalog with our show notes on these, and the as well as the scoring that we track of our overall how we do. And Dan, just for, I think we have some room to grow here, but in general, our fact checks come up. We're about 85% on holding up.
I'm gonna take some pride in that. I think that's better than most humans.
Bad. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I mean, we have a few where we whiff it, but on our fact checks, we're not bad. We're not bad. I'll take that. I'll take a B all day long without any effort, right?
Yeah. We're just two guys living,
Yeah, exactly. Our predictions are coming along. We're a little better than 50%. We have a lot of pending stuff, though, so it's not really.
Pending stuff. I think when I did a quick run through on those, the pickup that I saw was we do poorly on timing, but our direction is often pretty good.
Yeah, that's where I'd say we're at on that as well. Is we're about 55-60% accuracy overall with the scoring rubric I've put in place, which I think I might tweak. I'm working on integrating some of Tetlock's philosophy ultimately. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but some of the scoring methodology they use in those studies, I would actually like to put in place here.
That's interesting.
But I wanted to get something going first. But that would also require we probably structure our predictions, or the way I capture predictions, in a more specific way.
Yeah.
So this is just what you'll see on the website if you go and visit. Is just it's an MVP. We'll call it an MVP, minimum viable product. Getting the idea out there and to refine. But when I say go build something, this is one of the things I went and built, Dan. So I just wanted to put it out there and let people go actually see what's possible with it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, just exemplary. Yeah.
See.
I like it. I appreciate it. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on it. Is there anything that you're doing this weekend while we have access to Fable before we all get poor again?
It's funny you mentioned that. My plan for the afternoon is to go do a quick grocery run specifically for my dear wife. I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go to the Midwest myself to see family, and then spend some time riding roller coasters next weekend.
Oh, wow. Six Flags.
Kings Island.
Kings Island. Classic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, meeting up with a crew over there. But yeah, today I'm planning on camping out on the couch with my laptop, and the World Cup matches. England and Mexico both are playing today.
Well, that should be good.
And going at it with Fable, because I have not had a chance to, honestly, since we had access turned back on. I have not had the time to even sit down with the thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I only started today. So what specifically do you have in mind? You don't have to reveal things, but the size or how are you thinking about using Fable in a way that Fable should be used?
I have a couple of projects that are a little more technically complex that I've been working on, but haven't gotten fully started. I might take this as the opportunity to go ahead and try to wire one of those up as fully as possible, as quickly as possible. A lot of the other things that I've been doing, making some sites for other people, for example, are a little more straightforward. I don't think they need the full horsepower of Fable, but some of the things that I'm wanting to build with are maybe some more, have like a financial app type of thing where security is very important, and I want to make sure that everything functions properly, because it might actually be working with brokerage level APIs. That might be a situation.
That might be a situation. Yeah.
And see if I can't build a tool to help me implement certain research that I have coming across my desk.
Okay, one more question. Are you thinking just Fable's gonna rip through some of this stuff?
I have no idea. I really have no idea what to expect.
May I make a suggestion to the suggestion box?
Absolutely.
Use Fable to create the plan.
There you go.
And then use subagents to do the coding. At this point, I prefer Codex as the actual coding agent, but yeah.
Interesting. So no, that makes sense. Actually, I was also thinking about having it go in and do, I'm also worried about just burning all my credits in the first 10 minutes of sitting down.
Yes. And it only lets you use 50% of your weekly tokens on Fable. So like you can't even like burn your week on it.
Having it do a review of some other things I've been working on, or trying to maybe have it go and retool certain things that I know could be better. I don't know what, with your experience with it, what is the best use of my afternoon and the 15 minutes I'll be able to actually use it for?
Then I would probably use it on everything that you want to use it on, but don't make it do any coding. Make it do audits and plans and scopes and implementation plans, and that way you get the full scope and horsepower of Fable on what you want done. But then those plans are just make Fable create a plan that is chunked out and correct sizing for a Codex or an Opus or a Sonnet agent, and then you can just point, say, an Opus agent or a Codex agent at the dock and say like /goal, get it done. Call the subagents as necessary or something to that effect, and it's way cheaper, it's pretty fast, it stays on track, but you start with that huge big brain over and on top of it's like hiring the architect to come in and look at your code.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Or the general contractor, you're hiring the
one that's been around the block and has the big brain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. Because honestly, then you can I've been able to offload a little bit more work to a local LLM too.
Yes.
In terms of getting things done.
Which LLM are you using locally?
Qwen. What version? The biggest one I could fit with my Mac Studio hard drive. Yeah, the biggest one I could fit.
Qwen.
It's not bad.
Yeah, there's Gemma. Gemma 412B Fable coder agent that's pretty good. It was someone's attempt to use Gemma to distill Fable or something like that, and it's okay.
I forgot I actually keep the back of my dashboard, whatever, the desktop. That's the word. The desktop of my computer back of my monitor is a dashboard showing actively what's going on and what models are loaded where. It's Qwen 2.5 coder 14B.
Okay, cool. Yeah. It's a good model. I have not yet, but want to play with GLM 5.2. Twitter seems alive about it, so I want to look at it.
Who's that? Who makes that? GLM 5?
Good question. Yeah, I think it's another open source Chinese model.
Okay, I'm sure it is. It seems like that layer is going to go to them.
Maybe, or I don't know. I think there needs to be. Well, I mean, this is a interesting topic to explore, right? Like there's a bunch of weird stuff going on. The understatement of the decade. Possible, like the U.S. government
constant of the last 100 years.
Yeah. Well, true. The United States government is now gating our access to certain models, right? Which feels very Chinese to me. Whereas the Chinese are pushing the gas pedal on the open source models, which feels very USA to me. So there's some reversals of norms that I think are very interesting things to ponder on. If there are stakes taken by the United States government in the frontier labs, well, one, what should those shares be? Shouldn't they go to some sort of the American people, not the U.S. government? And I don't know, aren't there a whole bunch of other if the government does have its hands in these companies, then if the model has aged by 12 months, then it should become open source de facto. By default, because the American people have paid for it, and paying customers can pay for Frontier, and then our 12-month-old models all go to serving the worldwide public. That seems like a kind of fitting and aligned stance of the United States in terms of our historical relationship to trade and abundance. Yeah. Anyway, those are the things that I've been circling around. Of course, being very troubled with some of that.
Some of that seems very troubling, but some of it also makes good common sense too. Like, okay, it does make sense that some of this should go to being open source at some point. Like, and it's going to be a rapid development cycle.
Yeah,
where
for sure.
in 12 months, what we had 12 months ago is not obsolete, but definitely not, it's not state of the art.
Yeah, I was gonna say it changes who the customer is, right?
Yeah, I think it's gonna also for some of the models. Here's my question: how much does it cost to run them?
A lot,
right?
Especially if you start opening it up, like if they're highly usable models and people actually like them, a lot.
Yeah. So there's model availability, and there's also the capacity of compute and what size of a system you need to. I guess a lot of it's training versus inference, though, right?
And I didn't say the United States should serve this model to everyone. It should be open sourced to everyone. So you could run it locally.
Yeah.
Your local Google competitor could, or if there is your local cloud computer, just think like,
but I mean, I heard what you meant there. But my point was like, not everybody's gonna be able to afford to go just be like, we can just go run this model. Like, just because it's available,
no, because you're going to need the hardware. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just priced out a rig because I'm scared. There's some jobs that I need to run that for Kabu that I'm not sure my go to market is ready in the next 6 months because of data processing. And I'm like, okay, well, how much do I need horsepower wise to do this locally so that I can just run it 24/7 and get it done? Which, you take away my 4-hour window limits and my weekly limits and so on and so forth. Like, my 6 months goes down to like 30 days. But the answer was somewhere north of $225,000 in hardware, because to do the quantitative, like, I can't do this with a small model and say, oh, it just takes longer. No, I need depth in my model.
This isn't dead air. I'm just speechless.
Yeah. It would be a really hard choice between a server rack and a Porsche 911 GT3 RS.
That's easily 5 times what I had in my head. I was thinking, mid 5 figures.
We're not talking about cooling or power consumption either. I'm sure my electricity bill would more than triple. I don't know.
That brings up like so many more questions into my mind about what is the long-term growth curve here because of that cost to do what you just said, right? What you have is, to be frank, I think a very reasonable application of the technology. It's not you're not out there doing a digital animation that is creating
just making
complex
memes.
Images. Or I'm saying like, and actually generating like what it takes to generate like a nice HD video clip, 30 seconds long for like a video editor, is way more horsepower than processing, translating data and running it through a standard rubric of
like tests and investment processes or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Basically a standard, like basically Excel sheets. You're saying, hey, basically go run these calculations on this, generate this screener based upon this data and calculate these numbers.
The depth comes in with read these 5 years of filings with all that quantitative data and find anomalies, misbehaviors. That's where the model depth comes in.
Okay.
Because what this has forced me to do is try to, instead of just saying like stick it into the model and get my output, I'm breaking this process into as many pieces as possible and saying, this chunk, can it be deterministic or not? If deterministic, build the Python, do that, and make that chunk independent. Next chunk, probabilistic or deterministic, right? And so now I've got a whole bunch of coding layers that are much faster, like just super fast. And I use no tokens other than the fabrication of that process. Yeah. And then the probabilistic layer or the storytelling layer, the discovery sort of sleuthing out layer that, and then what that means is my product actually gets better as the models get better.
I like that a lot. That's really interesting. I'm sitting here just trying to think how you optimize this now. Now, $225,000.
Now, in 6 months.
Well,
in 6 months, I'll still want to spend $225,000, but it'll be a better rack.
No, but it'll be $400,000 away. No, not really. I don't know, because memory costs will keep going, but the memory prices seem to be like, they did go parabolic there. So maybe it's cooled off and it's at a new normal for a while.
I think there's like a
I don't
9x room to run still.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the problem. Is well, you say that, but frankly, we're at the level where it's starting to price people out. Like certain things, or certain assets do start to get priced out, and you know what the solution for high prices is?
Prices.
High prices. I mean,
Or innovation. Did you hear about the company Etched? I think it's called Etched.
No, tell me more.
I have not listened to this podcast yet, nor done a bunch of research. So this is going to be a
Excellent.
little loosey goosey, but it's in my queue for Invest Like the Best. Had the founders of Etched on, and they, from first principles, rethought how all of this comes together from a hardware standpoint. And they have built a rack, and the performance difference and power consumption difference between how we do it now and how they do it are worlds apart. And so if their claims are all practicable in the real world at scale, then they will be a paradigm shift, which I'm sure in some ways will get copied by others. But we're looking at, orders of magnitude more efficiency from the same data centers that we have, or,
that's on the power consumption side.
It's from an architecture side, I would say. And so
Okay,
you get the benefits of speed and power consumption, and like it's the whole stack.
Okay, well, because that was my curiosity, is because you still need to be processing the same amount of bits at some level, right? So you still have to have that silicon, the same number of transistors processing, printed on those little chips, processing all that. So that's interesting. Like I was curious if they're like fundamentally found ways to improve the way the chip like actually gets more data per unit mass or per.
Yeah, that's why I want to listen to it. I think they do get. I mean, at some point you get to physics, right? It isn't just like processing or engineering. It's just straight up physics, and I'm interested
now.
Like these guys are like 24 or something too, and their whole journey has been like, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't. Every single founder in semis has been over 40 forever, because it takes so much cumulative knowledge to get into semis successfully, and to like get the corpus of knowledge about not just the business but the actual hardware into your brain. And so these guys are bucking the trend in a couple different ways, and maybe it's all going to go poof, as we see from time to time, especially in bubble-like activities. But if they've got it, it seemed pretty exciting to me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting. Etched, you say?
Etched or Etch? I can't remember. But
okay.
There's a recent episode of Invest Like the Best, and so that's in my queue. I want to listen to it and hear the guys out.
Yeah. We also have not a flurry, but a couple of stories recently about the next generation of chips coming out, right? Samsung and Intel both talking about working on 1.4 nanometer chips, so the current, they're basically talking about the size of the transistors themselves that are printed on these chips. So like just impossibly small to even visualize, but producing it again from
to the size of an atom.
Current is 3 nanometer scale, and they're going down to half of that, which again, we're talking atomic
orders
scale.
Of magnitude,
Yeah, Moore's law feels like it has to practically hit a limit in terms of
it does.
Of that level, and they've kept it going with more efficient packing and other things, but we're starting to hit some limits of physics. And
where's the next frontier? Is it just material science, or
material science? Or I don't know what I don't even know.
Yes,
have an educated guess.
Done.
Quantum.
Sean's trying to avoid the red card here and stay in the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we should think about it.
Yeah.
If you get a red card, you have to be out the next episode.
Yeah. Good luck doing solo this time. Yeah. When I was walking Purdue's campus, there's now a building of data science and AI. I don't know if they stuck the AI on at the end of the title that was pre-existed. I don't know, but because data science has been there a little while, right? But
100%.
But it's right by Hovde. And I was like, oh man. So like, I also was able to go to a party while we were down in Bloomington, and I had a long conversation with one of the CS professors at IU. And it was really, really interesting to get to talk to him about the struggles with teaching like PhD students versus master students versus like freshman undergrads. Because he's got, a foot in the door on that whole scale there, and then thinking fundamentally around like, hey, if the tools exist and are all so good that the grunt work is gone, then why are we teaching freshman grunt work? they won't be doing any of it. And we actually need to, like, the way he and I kind of like got somewhere with it was like, we got to turn it upside down. Like, you've got to start teaching freshmen, hey, we're going to actually, instead of start at the mailroom of the corporation, you're actually going to start your freshman year in the CEO's office. And we're going to start working our way down so that you get an understanding from the top down in your whole field of view, because you're going to have to be able to understand it from that view in order to be able to best use these agents in order to move forward, right? It's not about like, hey, here's this function and it throws this error. Go troubleshoot it and propose solutions to the error, right? That grunt work is basically gone or will be gone by the time they graduate. And just rethinking preparing CS grads for the marketplace that they're going into. I thought it was a fun conversation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of. That's interesting. I'm glad you get to have that convo. You made me think, like, are there classes where AI, like certain things it's explicitly you cannot use on this task, but this task you have to use it, and you have to talk about how.
Depends on which school you go to.
Okay,
Berkeley banned it. So I would say if my kid came to me and said I got accepted to Berkeley, I was like, I'm not paying for it.
Nope.
You're not allowed to go.
You're not going.
Yeah.
No, because it's like we okay, it's not allowed for your calculus exam, but it is required for your senior design project, because you're thinking about things on different scales
and different effectivenesses. Like,
yes,
if it's your senior project, then you've been through a lot of the gates of this class. You get no AI. This class you get AI. Right? These gates are important. And then at the senior level, it's like, well, the point of the senior level is to demonstrate your ability to synthesize all of these things together and take them with you into the marketplace, right? So yes, of course, that should be used in your senior project.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like by the time your kids are that age. I wish I knew somebody that was like 17 or 18 right now going in next year to understand what it was like. I don't know anybody that has kids that age at the moment.
Well, there seems to be so much doomsdayish in the mind. I mean, just watch commencement speeches, and any positive mention of AI and the crowd goes wildly boos. And I think it's bad. I think that's a bad omen for all of those individuals because they're making the wrong choice. But that's my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have fundamental philosophical issues with it, and I think we need to be open to understanding what those are.
Yes. Agreed.
I was talking with a few people actually at the World Cup event in Dallas about this, and people that were much more pessimistic about it than I was. I'm not saying we had changed any minds anywhere, but at least we had an open discussion about it. And
yeah, I like it.
Nobody got mad or anything.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's a lot of fear, and I think people generally also being concerned about the loss of novelty and the loss of they're worried about it not making your business more efficient, or not using it to make your processes work better like we think about it, but they're more, it's more the threat of replacing creators, or taking over creative aspects, and everything's going to be generic and look the same, and of course job loss too, right? I think there are a lot of people that are worried about what layers of the economy will replace.
And there's definitely a chasm. But I don't think, I think both of those fears are completely 100% unfounded. It's just a matter of like, does it take us 3 years to get me to write, or 9 months, or 10 years? You understand what I mean? Because I think the creativeness will actually explode because more individuals will be enabled to be creative, and same with jobs. The same structure there. But if it takes 10 years to get there to my vision being the correct one, then that doesn't change the kind of negativity and turmoil that we will suffer as humans because of the stress and revolt or whatever. But if it only takes 9 months, then that pain is really, sharp, probably deep, but quick enough to sort of recover and give people their next leg up in their creative or career journey.
It could be something that rolls for a long time though, and just progresses through one sector, then another, then another, then another, and it's gonna just be death by 1,000 little, not death by, but
No, it won't be death.
No,
it'll be process.
process. Yeah. But it'll be changed by 1,000 code tweaks.
Yeah, but if every cohort is too small to change the direction of collective narrative or something to that effect,
Yeah.
then
No, exactly.
I'm really bullish on this Maxonomics guy. I really love his videos. And one of the more recent ones was like, basically the only time technology completely wiped jobs off the face of the earth was the elevator. All of the rest of the ones, like the computer revolution actually made more bookkeepers and accountants, not less, even though it decimated those jobs in how they were at the time. But all of those people that had those skills, if they were just willing to translate them onto the computer, there were more jobs than ever before, right? And so there's all of these things have always led to expansion, not reduction, with his exception of the elevator operator.
And what about horse and buggy? I would think that would be the automotive to horse. I don't think
Didn't that create a lot more jobs? Cars need fixed.
But I'm talking about horses, though. No,
People are still trying to get rid of the horses in Manhattan. So, I mean, can you imagine how many horses would be in Manhattan today if we didn't have the car? And would there still be a protest about getting rid of the horses?
Smell like shit. It would just smell awful.
I mean, that's half where all the diseases came from.
Yeah, no doubt. No, that's I think a point that is hard to comprehend for people when they're facing down change. It's like, oh wait, this is. But also,
but still,
but as you said, also
so.
they have to then those people have to be able to translate their skills into the new way of the way those skills are being done,
which is hard. Let's say if you're 62 or something, right,
exactly,
and you're kind of not prepared for an early retirement. Like those are that squeeze there is going to get it. I'm not trying to take away from how hard it will be for some individuals.
Yeah, and. Not, and also, I wonder if it makes it harder to get into certain fields because it's like then you have more. I don't know,
like
not harder to get in. That's
like paralegals or something.
Yeah, like exactly. Like now there's everybody kind of has one person, but it's not like you go and work for a big company and they have 1,000 paralegals and there's a program that you go become that and get trained out and then you can go work for anybody. I don't know. It'll be interesting how the education requirements and professional training, specifically professional training
and like those almost informal trainings of like, I'm thinking about investment bankers, right? Like you would basically sign yourself up for 100-hour weeks for 2 to 3 years. And then you could go get a lot of different jobs afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens to that? And that mirrors what happens in legal after those. Like what happens to those specific jobs that were gateways to other things,
Yes. That's what I was talking about.
They were training grounds for your brain.
It's going to change the scope of those opportunities to a different scope. And I don't know, good or bad, I don't know what it is.
I think it's more, well, I mean, this is me. I'm talking my biases here, right? Like I think it leads to more individualism. Like if you're, I mean, who gets hired? I'm just going to stick on the investment banking, IB. As the example, right? Like if you don't go to a target school, you're basically not getting in. So for a young Harvard grad on almost any degree, if you test well or whatever process they run, you and the interviews, then you're into the IB and you can just do that. But it is grueling. It is a horrible existence, frankly. Now these guys go on to guys and girls go on to really can be fantastic careers, especially if they escape the actual bank. If you're coming out of Harvard and you have that much mental horsepower, like, are the IBs actually going to get starved for talent? Are they going to start going to non-target schools because reasons? Because the Harvard grad goes like, dude, I got Fable and I'm just going to rock and roll. I got some ideas, right?
There'll be some of that, but
more than before? Question mark? I don't,
I think there's a distribution of people. Some people, because to do that, you have to have a mindset of while you might have the horsepower, you have to have the mindset of I can make it. I'm willing to take the risk. I don't need I have this maybe loan that I need to find a job that's going to give me some income to start paying back, depending upon your background, or just that you have the idea, like the spark of, oh, I could go do this thing. Like there's so many people who could, but don't have the idea or necessarily aren't a true leader or want to lead, right? They might want to go just work for somewhere. So you have a mix. Like there'll be some of that. It'll enable the ones that do want to do that to do it more readily. But I think it's kind of a distribution of the population. I think it'll make it easier for certain people, but I think you're still going to have a similar distribution of people that are, okay, I got trained. Let me go find my path with this degree and using it.
Okay, then based on that, whatever the percentage is inside this bell curve of people who are high agency, high risk, high get after itness, are their outcomes 10x'd by this? And they actually outpace society in ways that they previously would always be expected to outpace society because of those features. But now that has become amplified because they are essentially X or 100x people because they can and are capable of commanding a fleet of agents on their behalf rather than only operating solo.
I mean, in theory, yes, right? I think that's the bear case here, right? Not the bear case, the bull case.
Bull case for only those. I'm wondering if it's a bear case for society as people like inequality actually gets more visible than it already is.
You're thinking
we watch a small cohort of people take away and people perceive it as taking it away rather than like actually creating more abundance, which is in large part what probably would happen. But there's going to be a narrative, and that narrative could drift from that, you know?
Yeah, that's really possible. That narrative will be well, and here's the thing: that narrative, at any one time, there's 4 narratives concurrently going on any given topic.
No brain can handle more than 2. What do you mean by 4?
No, we reduced it to 2, but I mean, there's a lot of different narratives. It's whichever one is kind of dominant and getting the most attention, and that will be a noisy narrative because it appeals to a certain sense that we have as humans of wanting to
your confirmation bias.
Yeah. So that'll be an easy one to sell and one that will exist. Now, whether it's going to be true, I don't know what the data will say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it could. Why not? Because you also have to have, again, in certain applications of some of this, you have to have a lot of capital intensity to even get it going, right?
Yeah.
So.
And I think that capital intensity might be coming back. I feel like anybody slinging $400 worth of subscriptions.
It's like the railroads. It's like railroads again. Like you had to be, one of the wealthiest people in the country to help be part of the build out and be part of that.
Another great bubble.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or boom, shall we say?
Boom and bubble, both.
This one was a boom and bubble. I think AI is more like a boom, less bubble. Mm-hmm. They'll be fragmented little bubbles, but not one big pop.
So far, that can change.
Oh, I know it can change, but I don't.
Space might be the bigger bubble, honestly. Like, think about.
So you're pushing your SpaceX buying further downfield.
Well, no. But I'm just thinking about like at the time of 1929, you had a couple of big technologies that were really leading into that bubble: radio and aeronautics. And there are a lot of companies being bought up on the strength of those two things. And it was obvious to see how radio was going to change the world. And it was obvious to see how planes would change the world, but it wasn't obvious to see who was going to win any of the businesses in the long term. But I don't know what I was trying to say. Like, I don't know if both were equally inflated, or if maybe one was a little more inflated than the other. But if you have kind of AI and space both going on right now in terms of themes, I wonder if maybe one contributes a little more bubble behavior than the other. I don't know. I'm talking on my rear end. I don't know anything here.
All I know is it is a solid boom, and booms are a feature, not a bug. That's where I'm landing on it.
Agreed.
And I think the bubble will exist in the financing side of it, but I think it's all localized enough that it's not systemic. So I don't perceive there to be I don't perceive there to be a bubble in the sense of a bubble that hurts everybody collectively all at the same time when it changes on us, if that makes any sense to you. Like if I assembled that in a way that makes sense.
I think so. Yeah.
There's going to be some bankers and some investors hurt, but us everyday folk, I don't think will feel it exceptionally hard when things start to crack.
Unless you're just really, really unlucky on retirement timing. Like, frankly, like, no, I mean, I don't know. There's like, you could have, in theory, anybody could be unlucky and something happens and hurts them at a specific time, right? Their portfolio, and
for sure,
like,
but
right? Yeah, but as a general rule of thumb, I think you're right.
Yeah, I get you. And with how concentrated the equity markets are now, your point on the retirement is taken. Like it will be the stock market that takes the brunt of it, regardless of.
I was thinking about that. You see these charts that people post showing like the percentage of people that have actually some ownership of equity in the stock market. And it's a lineup over time, and people are like, oh, this is why stock price inflates. This is why stock prices inflate. Shouldn't it be 100%? Like why would 100% be a bad number of people that actually have some exposure to equity, right?
I mean, my bias is that 100% wouldn't be bad. I think it would be good.
Well,
more skin in the game for everybody, more participation in the capitalist system. The problem, I think, or like my theory around a potential problem, is that if public markets go that public, they essentially become more passive, which they already are. And so money and people with access have ways of altering the system in their favor. And it might not be malicious. It is just how humans work when we all get together in big groups. And so private markets, companies have been staying private longer. Part of that's aided by softer margins. The companies haven't needed money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think there's more. I think higher return investments are hiding away from the reach of the public, mainly because of the democratization of equity markets.
I gotcha. I feel you. And you're always going to have those gatings. There's always going to be these little clubs that try to form off and split separate factions to say, oh, we're going to do this special thing that only certain people have access to, as both because you can't have infinite supply or demand for something. Like there sometimes like things only work at smaller scale, and also because I don't know why.
Well, and running an investment management firm is very hard. It's very hard from a paperwork standpoint and compliance standpoint and a people management standpoint. And I don't even mean internally. I mean keeping your investors happy and informed, and keeping the competing interests of your investors all vectorized, going in the same direction, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you're like, oh, I'm gonna make the special purpose vehicle that gets access to the things that only families with net worths above 500 million typically get access to. Sure, that's great. I love the idea of it, right? But then you try to build that, and it's like you literally can't manage having 5 million investors in this vehicle. So they always get closed off, and you raise money from 500 rich people, and that's the special purpose vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
That's Sometimes it's like a scale. Yeah. I mean, it ties into several of the things you just said. Like, there's places where scale works and there's places where they don't.
Exactly. In places where you want exclusivity.
Yeah, I guess.
Because that's what they're really selling.
In large, yeah, that's a good point, right?
They want it to be exclusive, so that's what they're selling. They don't like, there's products where
find a new golf buddy.
Yeah, exactly. People are trying to create products that are exclusive to, like, that are only for rich people, so they can go sell it to rich people.
It's a filtering mechanism.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean it's always good, but also sometimes some of the most best returning stuff does end up coming from some of those pools, I think, because of again, that's like the kid that goes to Harvard, right? It's a filtering mechanism. It's not a guarantee of results, but it is a pretty rigorous filter.
Helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're about at an hour here, Dan. Anything else you want to touch on for the week?
No, other than everyone enjoy it. I hope if you're in one of the heat domes or whatever we escaped by the nick of our pants here, getting out of the Midwest. I talked to some people in the East. They were expecting a 105-degree day earlier this week. So stay cool out there.
Yeah, I'd say stay frosty and go build something.
See ya.